Hello and welcome to Get Yourself Optimized. I'm your host, Stephan Spencer, and today it's my distinct pleasure to have Irené Turtle with us. Irené is an executive and team coach with clients globally. Irené provides individual coaching for leaders and systemic team coaching. She works with teams as a facilitator, workshop leader, and team coach, and helps them increase their awareness, ability to work well together, and operate at a high performance level. Irené, it's so great to have you on the show.
Thank you so much, Stephan. I'm delighted to be here.
So you're a fan of Gallup's Strengthsfinder, as am I. I know my 5 top strengths by heart,
Mhm.
and many of our listeners, I'm guessing, are unfamiliar with Strengthsfinder, and there are so many different kinds of personality assessments out there. Discussed some of them on past episodes. For example, DISC, DISC, Kolbe, Kolbe. Myers-Briggs, and Print. Those are just a handful of ones
Mhm.
spoken about. StrengthsFinder we have spoken about as well, but not in as much depth. We had an entire episode about Print, for example, from the co-creator of Print, Deborah Levine. So what makes StrengthsFinder so incredibly valuable and so different from all the other assessments out there, predictive index and blah
Mhm.
blah blah, everything else?
Yeah, well, like a lot of coaches, Stefan, I'm a bit of an assessment junkie.
Yep.
But why I love, Strength Finders, Clifton Strengths, is because it really helps people understand their natural talents. And I believe that in order to change something, we have to be aware of what our talents are, what we're good at, and I
Mm.
think, unlike a lot of other assessments, it measures what you are intrinsically good at. And the whole philosophy, as you know, behind it is if you focus on your strengths, that's what's going to make you successful. And so many of us and our culture is all about, focusing on, instead of the four A's and the D, you come home with the four A's and a D and everybody focuses on the D. And we're
Right.
told to focus on our weaknesses and get better. And what I love about it is the philosophy is I've seen it work so many times over with myself, with other people. How is if we really focus on our talents and turn those into strengths, that will make us successful. And we'll end up doing what we love and being good at it, hopefully. That's the
Hmm.
that's the goal anyway.
Yeah. So how did you come across StrengthsFinder, and how did it enhance your life before you decided that you were going to kind of help spread it to all your clients and in your sphere of influence?
Well, I suppose there's a bit of a detour. I've taken it, I liked it, and like most people, I took it, stuck it in a drawer, and went, "Oh, that's really fantastic. Love this. Yes, that kind of sounds like me," but didn't do much with it until I got introduced to a woman called Candace Fitzpatrick,
Hmm.
who you may have heard of, and she developed a methodology called Core Clarity. Candace is in Dallas and she's brilliant. And what she did was take strength finders, or what they call now Gallup Clifton Strengths, and used it in an enhanced way. And I'm probably not doing her justice because it's a really fantastic system. Before Gallup, I believe, used colors, Candace was using colors. And it's in a system, and it really helps dig deep and really helped me really understand myself. And I think, I always thought as a coach, I was pretty self aware, but it took my awareness of myself to a whole new level. And I don't think I know I've used it with a lot of my clients, and it's really helped them to understand why they do the things they do naturally and why some things just don't work.
Mm.
And again, going back to the philosophy of if you work in your talents and you use those talents, then it will make you much more successful.
Yeah. So let's talk about awareness because, gosh, it's just such a game changer to have a level of awareness that you walk through life aware of the impact that you're having on how you make people feel, and
Mhm.
how, like, people remember you not for what you tell them, but for how you made them feel, how they felt around you.
Mhm.
That's what they remember. So if you're aware of that, that's amazing. And to have that kind of awareness 24/7 is pretty hard. But then there's this meta level of awareness where you're aware of your awareness. And that's an even bigger game changer. And that's hard to have. Like, you get kind of sucked into the moment so much,
Mhm.
and you forget that you're the observer, and that you're occupying a body, and you're just like you're in your body, you're in the scene, and you're forgetting that you're also an actor playing the script in that scene. So how do you what are your kind of secrets to success in having that kind of meta awareness about yourself, as well as just staying in regular awareness of the impact that you have on others?
Mhm. Well, it's a little bit of a play on words. The awareness of being aware. It took me a while to realize growing up that not everybody has that level of awareness. And again, with talents, we think everybody has the same talents as we have, but they have things that we don't have. So I think it was becoming aware that I had this, and that was my talent, and that I could use that to help other people become more aware, because, as I said, not everybody is. And some people just don't see or hear or intuit things that you or I might do. And that's our secret sauce, if you like. That's our ultimate talent. And it's to help other people develop that, or maximize or optimize it as best they can. But some people, I don't know if everybody can do that, but they first of all have to want to and see the benefit of it.
Yeah. So, how do you help your clients see the benefit of it and shift into that new level of awareness versus just taking a strengths finder or Clifton strengths assessment, seeing their top strengths and saying, "Oh, that's cool. That feels right," and then they
Mhm.
stick it in a drawer and do nothing with it.
Well, that's where core clarity comes in, because it really helps them understand how the whole combination works together. And with core clarity, there are things called core drills. So, for example, my core drill, I don't have what we call orange talents. Those are the get into action talents. They're not in my top. I think I have one in my top 10. And without those, my core drill is called a passionista. And that means if I'm not really, really excited about something and passionate about it, I just won't do it, or will do it very badly. But most of the time, I just don't want to do it. And that really helped me, Stephan, understand why. Just there were things in my life, especially as a solopreneur, that just didn't get done, or didn't get done well, or some often didn't get done at all. And so and it seems kind of obvious, and everybody thinks, oh, I don't like to do the things I don't like to do. But with a lack of those orange action talents, it's so much more difficult. So helping people not only understand their talents, but how the combination of them um, shows up in them, how that can propel them forward or hold them back. I think that's where core clarity is really, really powerful, because if you understand yourself better, obviously, then you'll be able to use that understanding to figure out why you're not being successful, or why you're not achieving some of the things that you'd like to do. And I think that's where I've been able to help a lot of people using that, because assessments for the sake of them, as I think I don't know whether you'll agree or not, but it's like taking a blood test. It tells you, gives you a lot of information. It doesn't tell you how to get better. It doesn't tell you what medicine you need to take. It just gives you information. So
Mm.
I think this is powerful because you can really use it, and you can use it every single day. And not only for yourself, but if you work on a team or with a team or you lead a team, just understanding other people. Because, one of I think the powerful things that I love to do is to help people focus on other people that they interact with. So whether we're influencing or communicating or trying to lead a team or work as part of a team, it's not just about us as individuals, it's about the other person. It's about the connections. It's about how we show up, how we listen to other people, how we interact with them, and how we take, what their perspectives, their goals, their aspirations, um, and how that all works into the success of the whole team or the whole project, or whatever it is we're working with.
So these different strengths that we have, they interact with each other and they can form a kind of a synergy, a beautiful synergy, or they can kind of work against each other, I suppose, right? Or counter objectives. So I'm curious to hear how some strengths work together and some don't really mesh well together. What's your experience around that?
Well, I think I have my number two is strategic.
Hmm.
So, for example, I tend to easily see the big picture. I can go from 1 to 10 relatively easily. Now I may miss a lot of stuff in between the 1 and the 10, but I can see the big picture. I can get to the vision, the end goal. There are other people that have to, for example, analytic is another talent that's they're all great. There's no bad talents. But if you're analytical, you may have to go through every single step and understand if you have input, which means you like a lot of information. Um, those two talents can really rub someone with strategic the wrong way, because we're just, okay, I'm there. I can see where I need to go. I don't need all that information. And the truth is, we need to work together, but we can really rub each other the wrong way, because people with those talents might be going, oh, she's going way too fast. She's missing the point. She's missing all this critical information.
Mm.
So it's not that they're good or bad. It's just working together. If you understand that people on your team have those other talents, and know that it's actually very valuable to have those talents, so that you can work together. But if you don't understand, you think that person's just really annoying, or, oh my goodness, another long winded story. Um, you know, it can, you might think they're a windbag, and they might think you're irritable and short tempered. So that's just one example. But, if you have people that are very action oriented, and they automatically go to action rather than maybe analyzing something, so they have more, someone might have more of the green talents. I work with a lot of technical people and engineers, and then they tend to have a lot of the green talents, which are the internal processing talents. We need all of the talents. Some people have talents that are in every different area, but often on a team, especially with maybe engineers or technical people, they may all have talents that are in the same category. And then you get groupthink, or you don't maybe aren't able to communicate those ideas, or you're not able to put them into action. So having people with all of the talents on your team and knowing what those talents are, then as a leader or as a group, you can decide, for example, don't put Stephan on that because he'll think about it all day, or don't put Irené on that because she'll talk about it all day. But we actually need all of us and on all the other people with other talents as well.
Right, right, right. So my top five strengths and strengths finder are futuristic, input, ideation, strategic, and learner.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm curious to, personally, my opinion on this is it's like a perfect storm kind of opportunity where I can use input as like a endless file cabinet of ideas and different kinds of campaigns that have been successful or not successful in the past. I've got a huge storehouse of these different um, experiences and case studies and
Mm-hmm.
campaigns, et cetera, et cetera. And then I pull from that, and then I can morph it into or aggregate and um, combine things together in a way that's very strategic. And then I take that and apply that in a way that is very futuristic and helps the client skate to where the puck is going to be rather than where the puck
Mm-hmm.
is at. I can see trends and how things are unfolding. I can recognize patterns and so forth. And then the ideation ability is like to come up with stuff out of the blue. So not just relying on other kinds of campaigns and ideas that have already come across my path or that I've already generated in the past, but to then come up with fresh stuff or new innovations like at the drop of a hat. And
Mm-hmm.
then on top of all that, I'm constantly motivated to keep learning and growing and evolving. Like I'm a seminar junkie. I
Mm-hmm.
constantly am reading, watching videos and things to learn more stuff. And I don't think a day goes by where I'm not learning something new. So I see that combined as a really special kind of superpower and allows me to go in to a client and map out some incredible transformational opportunities for them, not just helping them with their Google rankings, but to help future-proof them and give them uh, opportunities to leapfrog their competition in really innovative ways. So that is how that's the story I tell myself about those five strengths. I'm wondering what your view is on those five strengths together as either um, supportive or at odds of each with each other.
Well, a lot of them are, again, in the core clarity world, are green talents, which are how we process internal ideas and concepts and so on. So, if I'm not mistaken, I don't have my chart in front of me, I think you are what I was talking about, those core drills. I'm a passionista. It sounds like I'm pretty sure you're what we call a guru, because you have all the talents in the green sector. So, that makes you a bit of a genius.
My ego loves you
So
right now.
yeah, but I'm not trying to flatter you. It's how it's categorized, and it's
Yeah.
Candace's brilliance that came up with this in core clarity. But so I think and probably don't have time to do it now, or might not be all that interesting for the listeners. But I'd be happy to do a separate little session with you on how those show up. But basically, I think your core drill is a guru, which means that you just have a real wealth of genius in a specific area that I don't know you that well, but I would imagine that's what just makes your life worth living, is being able to share that and to help other people create the vision that they don't even know they have.
Mm-hmm. Yep, yep. I think before we started recording, I mentioned something along the lines of I'm always looking for ways to reveal light in everything I do, including the podcast episodes
Mm-hmm.
for the show. So, yep,
Mm-hmm.
that tracks. Cool. And
Mm-hmm.
there's another uh, a kind of assessment modality that has colors in it, and I don't know if it's an assessment as much as it's more of a framework. Maybe it's not a framework. Maybe I don't know. Anyways, it's called spiral dynamics. I learned about it from Tony Robbins. I'm actually going to have one of the co-creators of spiral dynamics on this podcast in the next few months. I'm looking forward to that. But that has colors associated with the different levels. I think there are 8 levels. So like I think level 5 is green. Below that is orange. Above that is yellow, etc. And if you're, let's say, at the level of blue, which I think is 4, you're very rules based. If you're a level below that, level 3, I think, is red, and red gets really hot tempered, and they see red essentially,
Mm-hmm.
get on their red on their on the wrong side of them. But then somebody who is really green is very environmental, but they don't know how to integrate that with the like making money and growing a business, and balancing the whole triple bottom line. So they
Mm-hmm.
end up going to Shakti Fest and Burning Man and what have you, but they have trouble paying their bills, being a little too uh, general or um, uh, maybe even prejudice, but that's my understanding of these different levels. I'm going to get a much better understanding of it when I interview my guest on this topic. But I'm curious to hear, what is your understanding of spiral dynamics and its relation to what you've been studying with core clarity? Is there any kind of relation to between those two?
Well, I have to admit, I haven't heard of it and I haven't come across it. And as I said, I'm a bit of an assessment junkie. So I'm, I'll be listening to your episode on it because I'd love to learn more. So I can't speak to the interaction. I think a lot of assessments, measure personality, or they measure our communication style, or our ability to influence. That's
Mm,
one that I've been working with recently in terms of how we communicate with it, whether it's with authority, empathy, transparency, etc. So I think, while I have a great commitment or passion around Clifton strengths and core clarity, um, I use them because I see the results, and and I'm really passionate about it. And like I said, if I'm not passionate about something, I just won't do it or use it. So it really speaks to me because it's not that complicated. Some of the other tools that I use are quite complicated, especially some of the personality assessments. So I think they all sort of work together, but for me, I try not to get too hung up on the vehicle, because for some people, um, the system that you're talking about might be a game changer. For
mhm.
some other people, Myers Briggs or Hogan or Colby might be that key to more awareness. Um, so I think it's just find something that speaks to you. And obviously, you're a learner, I'm a learner, so we're going to be always exploring different things. So I think
Yeah.
the key is it's a vehicle, it's a tool, but it's what speaks to you and what gives you the most, enlightenment or greater awareness. And then what can you, to me, because it's one thing to have that, it's another thing to put it into action and to actually to see some results from it, because I'm very results oriented. So it's, if you're just learning something for the sake of it, but you're not able to translate, especially from a coaching perspective, if you're not able to translate that into, um, you know, greater impact for yourself or your team or your organization or your nonprofit or your family or your friends or your yourself, then it's just information, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Information instead of transformation. And I'm curious to
Exactly. Yeah.
hear maybe some examples of results that you've gotten for your clients that they were able to take the the learning and the opportunities that you presented them, the new awareness that they were granted, and turn it into action and into results.
Mhm. Well, I think for a lot of people that I work with, that awareness is not something. Some people are very self-aware, but like we've talked about, it's just those, you know, aha moments of. So, for example, people who have the core drill that I have, Passionista, they, I'm thinking of a couple of clients who just like me, I could really relate to them. And I happen to have quite a lot of clients that have that profile. Is, again, we're sort of conditioned to think we should be good at everything, right? And that we, um, if we're not good at something, then we're failing. So just helping people understand that whatever path they've chosen, if it's not right for them, it may be because they're they're trying to use talents that they don't have or don't have in their top 5 or 10. And so for one person in particular that I'm thinking about, it was really um, trying to peel away all those layers of, oh, I should be a doctor, I should be a lawyer, I should be an engineer, because that's what everybody else in my class was. That's what my parents wanted me to do. And in one particular case, it was a young man who actually had some learning difficulties. He was a very
Mm-hmm.
bright guy, but his brain didn't work like other people's, and everybody he went to school with, went to law school or went to Wall Street, and he didn't, and he always felt like a failure. So we just had to sort of peel it all back and really find out what it was that we knew what his natural talents were, but what did he love to do? Because again, we're all, there's all these layers of what success looks like, what 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 we should do, or what's expected of us, or what we think will make us happy. And fortunately, with this guy, he was probably around 30, and he hadn't gone down the road long enough so that he couldn't come back. And we ended up working with him. And one of the things that he found out was that he loved to work with his hands and create things and build things and fix things, because he also had Maximizer. And he ended up actually starting his own business, where he was, buying houses, fixing them up, and then selling them. And he was doing it to a level that, made him happy. And it was so different from everything his parents thought he should be doing, all his friends. But, when I asked him, well, are your friends all happy? In laws, they were all, either lawyers, or a lot of them were in finance. And he said, no, most of them weren't.
Mm-hmm.
But he found a level of satisfaction that wasn't, I haven't talked to him in a while, so I don't know how he's doing financially. but his level of satisfaction with his life, his happiness, his level of fulfillment was something that he hadn't experienced in a long time, because he was always doing what he thought he should be doing and what everybody else was doing. And so to me, it was a huge success because it really helped him focus on what made him happy. And I think some people need to be successful, whatever that means, to be happy. But actually, a lot of us just want to be happy. So it's
Mm-hmm.
not about money. It's not about status. For some people, for other people, it is. But that to me was a great success story, because he just felt so much better about himself. He was so much more confident. And again, I haven't talked to him in a while, so I don't know how he's doing financially, but that was never really on the list of what was important to him. It was this feeling of being less than, not being successful at all the things that, that he tried thus far. So to me, that was a huge success story.
That's awesome. Yeah, well,
Mhm.
we have such an impact on people's lives, and we don't even realize it. So you have a coaching session with somebody, and maybe you don't even see them again, but it was something that you said or some insight that you gave them, and that changes the whole trajectory of their life. Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's not
Yeah, I
just,
mean, I know
if you're
it's
coaching, it's
ego.
everybody. We all do this. We all have this kind of
Yeah.
ripple effect.
Yeah. It's ego on my part, but when I haven't talked to one of my clients in a while, and they say, "Oh, I hear your voice in my head all the time, Irené," whatever it is that we worked on. And I had one client one time who brought me. We stopped working together, and I had lunch with her about a year after our last session. She insisted that I come in and meet all her staff, because she said, "This is the person I keep quoting to you." So to me, um, you've had an impact, made an impact, when people are not just, "Oh, that was an interesting concept or an interesting idea," but they're putting it into practice, and they're continuing to use whatever you help them
Hmm.
uncover, to continue to be successful, and to help other people be successful. So that impact is there. So
Yeah.
for me, that's really important, to have an impact, and obviously a positive impact on other people.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's the hero's journey, and in the hero's journey, there's that stage where uh, the the character is called to arms or called to action to become the hero. And so if that person gets the awareness or the tool or resource or insight that allows them to step into that greatness, then a whole new world unlocks for them. It's like a new level in the video
Mhm.
game. And it sounds like the combination of Strengthsfinder and Core Clarity can provide that. I'm guessing that also unique ability, which is created by Dan Sullivan, can do that as well. Dan Sullivan, who created Strategic Coach, has this whole curriculum around identifying your unique ability and staying in that unique ability as much as possible, vast majority of your day, and give everything else possible to other team members. And then there's another similar, I think it's similar sort of methodology called zone of genius, or the genius zone, and that's Gay Hendricks. So getting into the zone of excellence is a trap, because you're really good at it, so you keep doing it, but it keeps you out of your zone of genius, where all the magic really happens. So that's my understanding of Gay Hendricks' work. So I'm curious if you're familiar with either of those.
I've heard of them, but I really haven't done too much exploration. Again, I'm familiar with them, but really
Yeah,
wouldn't
got it.
consider myself all that knowledgeable.
Okay,
But I
got it.
mean, they're familiar concepts as well.
Hmm.
Um, I think, um, the benefit of being a learner is that you continuously add to that input, that computer storehouse of knowledge that you have. But and when you I think when you continue to learn and you continue to incorporate that into your awareness for yourself and other people, then hopefully you don't get stuck in that, you know, that vortex of being really good at something and not exploring further.
Hmm.
Um, so even though I'm not too familiar with it, those particular things that you talked about, I think I'm familiar with it in other forms.
Yeah, yeah, they're compatible concepts. From my understanding, I have not delved in deeply to either one of them myself either. So, um, what about Enneagram? Um, I had a couple of guests talk about Enneagram on this show, and they're very uh, strong proponents of it. I'm considering maybe doing, well, actually, I will do an Enneagram kind of deep dive session. I've already booked it with one of my guests, Beth Cooper, who was uh, the second guest that I had talking about Enneagram on the show, and she's phenomenal. And so I'm looking forward to that. I'll have a much better sense of the value of Enneagram as an assessment and as a way to put it into action after I do that insights session, a couple hours of work. I don't know what it's going to be like, but uh, I'm excited to try it out. So, curious if you've got anything to share about Enneagram.
I think, well, I've done a couple of workshops in Enneagram, and I think it's fascinating. And I think what's so interesting about it is that it's thousands of years old. It's
Mm-hmm.
not, it's been around long before any of most of the other things we've talked about were even a kernel. So it's sort of an ancient wisdom, and I think there are some overlaps. I think between the numbers of the Enneagram and certain talents and certain core drills. Like I was very resistant to the fact that I was a one, and I kept wanting to be something else. But I think when it came down to it, I realized I was a one. Which, if anyone doesn't know what an Enneagram is, we tend to want everything to be great, and we can be a little controlling for other people, but then there are all these subsets. So I think there's a lot of overlap between personality, some of the
Mm-hmm.
personality assessments, and the Clifton Strengths and Core Clarity. Again, I think it's fascinating. I love studying it. It's not my go-to. It's not one that I feel, because I'm a maximizer, I feel like I have to, know as much as I possibly can about something before I use it extensively. And it's not the, I don't feel like I know enough about it to use it, or maybe it just doesn't speak to me as much
Mm-hmm.
as some of the other tools that I use more often. But I think it's really valuable, and I don't think you can dismiss something that's been around that long and has had the staying power that it does. And it's like anything. There's the first level, and then there are all the subsets of it. And how, again, what's I think really valuable about it is how your the aspects of your personality, how you show up when you're under stress, how you show up when you're relaxed and having fun, and how all of that, because we're all so complex. We're not one thing, we're not one personality, we're not one number, we're all of these things. So again, I think what's rich about it and what's so fascinating about it is all the different aspects of it. And
Yep.
again, if the goal is to increase your awareness for yourself and for other people. Whatever tool you use, whether it's Enneagram or Clifton Strengths or Myers-Briggs or DISC or whatever, um, I think that that's where the value is helping you know more about yourself and how you can use your talents and your personality and all the things that make you you, how to make that a better version of yourself or a stronger version or a more influential or to help make you happier and
Yep.
more successful in whatever it is that you do.
Yeah. And more benevolent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So,
I think it's
what?
hard to be benevolent when you're miserable, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Mm,
Although, if you have the desire to be benevolent, even when you are miserable, it's a great way to
mhm,
snap out of, you know, the hard time that you're going through when you're focused on
mhm.
others. It's hard to
Yeah.
feel depressed if you're focused on other people's welfare. But
Mhm.
I'm curious to hear what sort of other ancient wisdom that you're attracted to, that you have been studying or incorporating into your life or into the lives of your clients.
Well, I think, um, I think some of the things that intrinsically interest me are just the whole laws of attraction.
Hmm.
Um, and I think for someone who likes to control things, someone who thinks they're in charge, and I've certainly fallen into those pitfalls more often than not, is, just that ancient philosophy of, um, you know, being open to different things and being open to attracting different things into your life and different vibrations. So, I have read a lot about that. I have tried to practice it. And I've also done quite a bit of study of Joe Dispenza.
Hmm.
And I think his whole approach to everything is just fascinating. So I haven't been to one of his workshops yet, but one of these days I will. So I think those are the things that really, different vibrations, being open um, to just different ways of showing up. And again, when you've been brought up in a certain way with certain disciplines and different ways of thinking about things, and you're in charge of your own destiny, just being open to those things is quite a challenge, but also can be very, very liberating.
Yeah, yeah. I, I I relate to that. I had
Mhm,
an upbringing where there was a lot of rules and dogma and uh, closed-mindedness, and
mhm,
having that willing suspension of disbelief is what has led me to so many epiphanies and my spiritual awakenings and everything, to be able to try something that may be out of my normal comfort zone or uh, belief system, and trying
mhm,
something new. Yeah.
mhm,
Which, something that relates to what you're talking about, the law of attraction and being open and having this, like what Joe Dispenza refers to as the, unified field, and accessing that unified field, or what Carl Jung would describe as the collective unconscious. And and in a way, it's like you, as this amazing learner, just, taking in all these new modalities and tools and techniques and so forth. Yet we're this like dumb terminal who's tapped in
mhm,
to the supercomputer. Maybe sometimes we disconnect from the supercomputer, and uh, we all do that. I think we're just not plugged in, and trying to figure it all out on our own, and that's really hard. And then there are times where we're totally tapped in to that unified field, to the supercomputer, and that dumb terminal looks really, really smart and can invent new things and get patents for them and stuff. So, do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, again, I think there's an illusion of control that some of us have, some much more than others. And I think the power of trusting your own instincts and your intuition about when to, you know, whatever you might call it, let go and let God, or let,
Mm-hmm.
you know, give it all up to a higher power, or whatever the language that you use is, and to know that sometimes you just have to give yourself permission to unplug from all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And I know for me, I'm a doer, so I can fill the whole day with stuff. And lately, it's been like, okay, you can't let anything else in until you just stop, until you clear all the noise and all the doing and all the distractions. But it's really hard, I think, for me anyway, to listen to that and to trust it, and to know that there are times when, you just have to stop and unplug, literally, figuratively, and every other way, from all the noise and the distraction, because that's what it is. And it squashes your creativity and your intuition and your ability to, I think, grow beyond where you are.
Yeah.
But it's very challenging. It's very challenging to do that.
Yeah, it can be. It can be. So,
Mhm.
uh, Joe Dispenza calls it like becoming nobody, getting into that space of being nobody, and in no time, in no place, nowhere, no thing. And from that place, you're tapped in, and you're part of that collective unconscious, that part of the unified field. So,
Mhm.
yeah, fascinating stuff. So I know we're out of time here. Where does our listener go to work with you, to learn more from you, to maybe get that profiling, if they have that Gallup strengths, Clifton Strengths Assessment already done, and they wanted to learn more about how they tick and how they can work better with their team? Where should they go?
Yeah, my company is Turtle Executive Coaching and Leadership Development. So it's turtleexecutivecoaching.com is where you can find me. And there's a lot of stuff on my website, but just reach out, give me a call, send me an email. And I get so excited talking about core clarity that I can talk for hours about it, and I'm really, really passionate about it. So that's a good sign for me always, that I'm on the right track when I'm excited about something, and I'm so excited to share it with other people.
Yeah, that's
And I'd
awesome.
be happy to
I
share
was
it with
unaware
you,
of it too.
Stephan.
So, what's that?
Hmm. I'd be happy to share it with you.
Oh, I'd love that.
In a separate session when we're
I
not
would,
when we're not public.
I would love that. Yeah. Amazing. All right. Well, thank you so much, Irené. And this is really inspiring and very powerful, valuable information that can lead to a powerful transformation. So thank you for that. And thank you, listener. Go out there, do something amazing in the world, and make it a better place. And we'll catch you on the next episode. I'm your host, Stephan Spencer, signing off.